Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. I know there's been a whole lot of crickets on this channel for the past year or so, but we are turning that around. We are bringing the uploads back, so stay tuned for that. Alright, so to start off the video, we have two big announcements. The first one is that we recently partnered up with Davinci Energy. They make some really awesome energy blends. I've tried out their product and every time I've had it, it's worked. Felt super energetic and I was just able to lock in and be productive. So if you guys are interested, check out the link below. It is w.gg and then use our code UNIQUITY10 for 10% off at checkout. Alright, so for the second announcement, it is the very video that you're watching right now. We are starting a new series called From Parts to Profit, and you can kind of make the assumption of what that's going to be about. We're going to be taking advantage of the used marketplace for our computer parts and flipping it, turning into a new gaming PC, and trying to sell it for profit. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, and yeah, I'll leave the rest of the video for Jose.
Hello everyone, my name is Jose and welcome to this series From Parts to Profit. So me and Cameron came up with this video series so that we're not really restricted to any specific videos or PC builds. It's just basically going to be what we're doing, which is PC flipping. So pretty simple, our parts, hopefully generate some profit. So let's get into the first video. I have everything laid up here in front of me and I'm gonna go over the specs as we put this PC together. Okay, so for the CPU of choice, we have the Xeon E5 1650V2. It's a 6-core 12-threaded processor, and it's roughly equivalent to the i7 4930K. Alright, this is the RAM that we have. It's 16 gigs of DDR3 ECC registered RAM. I'll put the price up of how much I paid for it. But yeah, really good deal for ECC RAM. And for the SSD, we have a 128GB M.2 drive. Pretty cheap as well, like 10 to 11 bucks. Alright, and so for the cooler, we have a Thermalright 120mm ARGB cooler, but first we needed an adapter from AliExpress to mount this to an X99 motherboard, and this adapter does work for X99 motherboards as well, depending on which socket they have. So for this CPU, I'm just gonna add a bit more thermal paste than I would a normal size CPU. Alright, now that I got the motherboard all prepped, I'm gonna put this to the side. Alright, so for the case, we have a dark flash, a fish tank style ARGB case. Pretty nice looking case, and yeah, this is just what we're gonna hold our parts with for today. Alright, so the power supply we have for this build is a high power 80 plus bronze 500 watt power supply. It'll be perfect for the GPU we're pairing with this CPU. And when it comes to PCs, I like to put in the power supply first. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Make sure your fan is facing outwards for this case so we can draw some air in. Alright, so at this point you can install the motherboard. At least that's how I like to do it. But always remember, if you have the I/O shield, this is when you install it. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and route my power supply cables. And of course, plug them in. It's at this point where I'm going to plug in my SATA cable. Alright, and so since I plugged in the SATA cable, I may as well plug in the hard drive. Alright, so the hard drive is just a regular old 1 terabyte hard drive. And since I have this open, I'm going to try to cable manage some stuff back there. And I have here a fan controller that I got off of AliExpress. It controls the fan speed and so that they don't get too loud. So at this point, I'm going to route the PCIe cables just so that I'll have them ready. And then for cables we're not going to use, Molex, we'll just tidy them up and then just shove them in the back. Okay, so usually I would route these cables before doing all this cable management, but I forgot, so I'm going to have to struggle now. Alright, so at this point I'm just going to close the back. And if it doesn't work, well, I'll figure it out. Alright, so now we are ready for the GPU. So the GPU of choice is an RX 580, 8 GB. And this specific one is a Red Devil card. Okay, it's time to plug in these cables. Alright, and the build is done. I'm gonna go ahead and close the rest of this stuff up and I'm gonna test it. We have our 3 Mark x 5 benchmark score. We're gonna head into a Cyberpunk benchmark, and right here we're gonna have this test on medium and AMD FSR3 with frame generation on. Alright, so here we have our results for Cyberpunk. We were in averaging 91 FPS in medium settings. For Marvel Rivals, we're in low settings with AMD FSR3 and frame generation. We're going to notice how our FPS is pretty decent. We're moving around 90 to 100 FPS, and for Marvel Rivals at 1080p, this is perfectly fine. For CS2, everything's at low, FSR on and enabled, and it's honestly the savior for all these games for these older PCs. FPS, we're going to be fluctuating around 140 FPS. You can see the highs can get up to 240. I feel like 144 with the 144 Hz monitor, you'd be perfectly fine capping it. So that was it for this round of benchmarks. Let's move on to the next portion of this video. Alright, that is going to be the end of this build. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with how the results ended up. I'm going to continue to use this X79 platform, these CPUs. I think they still hold a place in the market, you know, and just PCs in general. Especially I paid around 240 bucks for the whole build. I could have gone less, but aesthetics when flipping PCs is important. So yeah, but I mean, if you're not too worried about aesthetics, you can get this build for cheaper. I'm going to continue to use these CPUs with the same class of GPUs like the 1060 6GB and the GTX 1650 Super. They're probably around the same ballpark, more or less. And at some point you do need to use better hardware, but that's not this point, so there's no need. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I want to thank Dubby once again for partnering up with us. Don't forget to use code Uniquity10 for 10% off at checkout. I'm going to leave the links down below. And another thing, I did activate this PC off camera, and I used the key from electronicfirst.com. I'm going to leave that link down below. Cameron and I have been using them for years, and we've had nothing but success. So yeah, full disclosure, we do earn commission from these links, but they're at no extra cost to you. They just help support the channel, and we thank you guys for that. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Stay tuned for the next episode where Cameron will be starting off the video, and a huge thanks to Cameron. He's been working very hard behind the scenes. So yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.